Lionel Messi in an interview with NBC discussing, in essence, the state of Major League Soccer and where the league could perhaps grow and change and develop. And Lionel Messi suggested that one of the best ways to make the league more appealing and more competitive was to kill the salary cap altogether and let clubs go out and spend as much as they want to bring in the top players in the world. Now, that obviously gets into a haves and have-nots conversation like we see in some other sports or other leagues, that implement this model. And yet we look at Major League Soccer and we see some clubs that don't even make full use of their DP slots, all of them at the very least. Jordan, do you agree with this idea from Lionel Messi that the only way to make MLS a true top league in the world is to let the rich owners spend what they wish?
Who am I to argue with the second best player that ever walked the face of this earth? I'm going to do that for Wheels.
Thank you.
I always say Messi's the best, but for Wheels, my dog, I'm going to say second best. All jokes aside, he's the best player. But look, he also is coming from a world where he doesn't know Barcelona, PSG, the way that he's been decorated, the salaries that are put on the table. MLS, specifically North American football, is different. And I think when you look at in 2004, when you had 10 teams in the MLS, and then now you have 30, I think the reason for that rapid growth is because investors and owners, they know that it's a controlled market. And so there's a reason for that. It's not just MLS, it's all American sports as well. Like you look at NFL, NBA, there's salary caps to make sure that you keep things in place and keep things controlled. So someone like Messi is like, yeah, bring in all the best players, and they go, but if those best players came to 4 best teams, what's happening to the other 26? That's what I think about right away. It's like, it tries to give a little bit of parity. Is it always successful? No. But is that like the intent behind it in terms of ownership and sponsorship? I think so. So with Messi, I would humbly agree. Don't tell him that I said, humbly disagree. Don't tell him that I said that, because he's the GOAT. And he probably, everything he touches turns to gold. But yeah, I don't agree.
But I think he's right to a certain degree. I've a lot of thoughts about this, having covered the league essentially since I started my career. I love MLS, but oftentimes some of the mechanisms to restrain, I should say, spending have been counterproductive for me. GAM and TAM and international spots and what players can be part of a side and on what salary. It's become so formulaic that I think it takes out ambition, ingenuity, the ability to kind of push the envelope a little bit more. And that's where I think Lionel Messi's right. I think that, look, I'm not going to cry poor for any ownership group in Major League Soccer, because these are all billionaires, right? They all have money. They all can spend. But unfortunately for many clubs in Major League Soccer, they're losing money year in, year out. And really where the value or the investment lies in these Major League Soccer clubs is in the perceived club value. Or what the club is actually worth on the open market. It's not what they're getting from a television deal. It's not what they're getting in terms of the gate or selling kit or jerseys. Like that's just not part of the equation. So I do think that you need some sort of element of a salary cap. Like, look, even the NFL has a salary cap, but I think that you can make it a whole lot higher, add some variance in terms of what the ceiling looks like. And what the floor looks like, just to add a little bit more, because he's right. Like, teams with ambition should be able to pursue it. This is professional sports after all, but just, completely releasing all of the shackles, I just don't think that makes sense. But I think he's actually right in terms of what he's saying. It just needs to, all the impediments for league growth or the teams to improve, and clubs that want to spend, a lot of them just need to be taken away, because fans don't want to hear about GAM and TAM. And if you can have under 22 players and 3 DPs and a partridge in a pear tree, like all of these things just become completely muddled. You're like, what is going on? At the same time, Lionel Messi's former club, Barcelona, they're having a problem with PSR. But PSR will not work in Major League Soccer because these clubs aren't making enough money. And it would kind of go in the other direction. So some middle ground is required, and I'm with them on that.
I don't believe it's a perfect model, but I've always thought that the luxury tax seems like a happy medium like we see in
Yeah.
leagues like Major League Baseball, where if Gareth is a multi-billionaire and he wants to spend way more money than cheap old me, I can at least benefit from the tax that he has to pay. I make more money by Gareth spending more money, and I don't have to do anything. So as a cheap owner, I can see why that would be appealing and still let the most ambitious clubs perhaps go on and make those big signings. Gareth, right back to you, because your thoughts have been made rather clear about how you feel about the MLS playoff format. I do not think you are on your own island in that regard, pardon me. But as we think about perhaps toying with structure and format and rules of Major League Soccer, is there anything else you think this league needs to change or adapt to continue to grow?
Yes, absolutely. But by the way, I'm definitely not the only one about the MLS playoff format. There's playoff games being played on a Tuesday night. And I don't even know. I guess the first round of games is done now. It's crazy to me, this playoff format. But the way that the league is making money is through expansion. And I think that the league will continue to expand. But part of that, like the biggest problem with Major League Soccer right now is every game doesn't matter. Every game has to matter in this league. That's why some form of promotion relegation is a near must. Like let's not skirt around it. Like you can, or at least two separate divisions where you can focus on one division versus the other. It's very, very difficult, like I said, to follow along with 30 teams on a regular basis. Beyond that, consume every game, understand who's doing what and how. It's just near impossible. If you can break off, if they expand out to, just say it's 36 teams at some point, two divisions of 18 teams with promotion and relegation and cup competition between the two divisions, that kind of unifies and keeps that link all together. You can almost play them simultaneously. A cup competition between the two divisions within Major League Soccer with an expanded with expansion, plus a top tier division, which inevitably crowns the MLS Cup, with relegation that threatens to push teams down to the second division. I just think that has to be that way if you want to keep people engaged on a regular basis. The games need to mean something, and there are just far too many games across Major League Soccer in a very long season that just don't mean jack squat. And that is the biggest problem that the league is facing.
Absolutely. It's too large when you have 30 teams as well. How do you keep it competitive? Naturally, you're going to break it down into thirds for me. Like you have the top 10, you have the middle 10, and you have the 10 that no one really watches or cares about outside of those respective markets. But it's just too spread out. So Wheels is right. Like when it comes to playoffs, which is like a whole new season in itself, it's hard to track and it's very difficult. And obviously, it's been a rapid growth. We just talked about, I mentioned in my last answer in 04, there's 10 teams and now being 30. And I joke with people all the time. I'm like, for $100, can you tell me every team right now in Major League Soccer? Could you do it? I know the real fans could probably get through it, but there's some people that might be stopping at 27, 28 and not really, they might be forgetting about a franchise here and there. It's just hard to keep things competitive. So it takes some readjustment. And I just think looking at the format, it probably needs to be readjusted.